Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Bad and Barred. Nope, not anymore. Welcome, y'all, to the first episode since our official name change. We are now Black and Barred, the legal community for the 5%, because it is imperative for lawyers to have community. And so I am working so hard and striving diligently to create that community for us. And guess what, y'all? It's a free community. There are several out there that exist, organizations, clubs that you can join, but you're going to join for a fee. And I just feel like, in order to find acceptance and commonality in this profession, you shouldn't have to pay. Black lawyers thrive in community. So welcome, y'all, to Black and Barred. I am your host, Avi B, and I am so excited to get into today's topic. But before we do that, the last time we had chatted it up, I told y'all that I was launching my own law firm. Well, at that point, I had kind of just launched it, a little soft launch, and now it has officially been 2 months since I launched my own firm. And so I just kind of want to talk about what that's been like for me for the past 2 months, because God has been amazing. Like I told y'all before, this is not my first time doing this, but this is my first time doing it truly, with the Lord as my CEO of my business, the Lord being Jesus Christ. Me doing this with him has been such a rewarding experience, so much so that even the parts that are scary, even the parts that are hard, are rewarding for me. I still am in this mindset of kind of like bliss. When you first start a business, there's all this groundwork that you have to do, to the point where it's like a lot of people find it easy to launch and then hard to sustain. I have been truly sustained by Christ, even in moments where I had like doubt, or when things that have come up unexpectedly. I've been sustained. I'm truly thankful that I've met some new clients. And so I want to do two things. I want to do a reflection each month of kind of the highlight of my business for that month. And this is my first time doing this. I'm going to kind of rewind back to month one, which was in July. Rewind back to month one, which was in July, and give you guys kind of a highlight from that month. So for me in July, I got to help somebody that I really grew to care about. Their case was really challenging. It was a criminal case. I don't typically take criminal cases anymore, as I've now shifted away from criminal practice into focusing more on business law and a few other practice areas. But I will still take a criminal case here and there when I want to. I just don't want to be bound by the courts and the court schedule and having to go to court every day. I've been there. I've done that. I'm kind of over it, truthfully. But this was a criminal case in which I got to help a woman who just had a really unfortunate charge, something that she did not do. She was falsely accused. And it was clear, even through the police report, that she did not do what she had been accused of. And beyond all of that, she didn't even meet the statute. The law that she was charged under, she didn't even qualify to be charged under that law. And so it was a complete case of injustice. And she talked to me, there was, so much emotion in the conversation from both of us. And ultimately, I went to court on the very first appearance and got the case completely dismissed. The district attorney was like, can we just do a continuance? I want to see if I can get more information, see if I can recharge, see if I can do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The judge was on my side, looked at me and said, for what? The statute that you've charged under is inapplicable. It does not apply to this particular person. So even if we take a break and give you time to figure out something else, this particular charge needs to be dismissed, so dismiss it. And, I made my arguments. I put forth all of this evidence, even though I didn't have to, because the simple fact that the charge didn't apply was enough. I still went in there because I operate with a high standard of excellence, y'all. I still went in there and argued all the other reasons why it should also be dismissed. And I won in that very first court appearance. So no continuous, no nothing. That was just such a victory for me, because I haven't been in criminal court in a while. And so to go back in is like, I still got it. Okay. It felt good. I see the courtroom as kind of my boxing arena, where it's scary, but it's also like thrilling. I get a little bit of like heart jitters when I'm walking into a courtroom. And also TMI, but every time I go to court, I have to poop, y'all. So I got to get to court an hour early. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a nervous poop or what, but every time I go to court, I have to get to the courthouse early, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna blow that bathroom up every time. And it's disgusting. And I hate that for me. But literally, since I started practicing law years and years and years ago, this has happened to me almost every time. So that was July's highlight. And on top of that, I also just threw in a free criminal record expunction for her, just because I feel really bad that she was falsely accused and her life was kind of immediately shaken up by this charge. And so I gave her a criminal record expunction. I filed the petition and the expunction was granted. So not only was her charge dismissed, the charge was also wiped away from her criminal record, which let's also just make clear that it's ridiculous that a criminal record is created from a charge that even if it gets dismissed, it will still show on your record. So I got it expunged so it doesn't show on her record, and she was able to move on with her life. All right, so that's month one. Month two was also really good for me because not just about the cases, I had some really interesting cases that I'm actually still working on because, you know, a lot of cases don't resolve in a month. Month two for me was really about deep connections. I'm just so thankful with the people I've really prayed hard for God to connect me with the right people. Lord, help me meet other Christians who are in business, other entrepreneurs who are in business. And He has answered that prayer. It has been an amazing month of connection, so much so that I'm just like, wow, God, I hear you. I feel you. I see you. I ask Him to ordain my steps. Make sure that whoever it is that I need to meet out in the community, let me meet them naturally, organically. Let it flow. Let us have chemistry. And whether they become a client or just a resource or something that I can be for them, I'm just thankful for the connections because in business, you need connections. Your network matters. And so I have just grown and connected with so many people in my local community and people all throughout the state just this month to the point where it's like, okay, God, I see you. You got your big one going for me. Thank you. So it's just been a good 2 months for me. And, you know, there were times when I couldn't pay myself as much as I wanted to, you know, 1 week. And then other times where it's like, okay, all right, the coins are flowing. So thank you, God, for the provision as well. So it's just been a good 2 months for me as a law firm owner. I'm just really thankful and excited to see how this thing continues to grow. I know that I am being used as a vessel, and I'm just excited to touch and impact as many lives and businesses as possible because I know that I am on this journey and I'm doing this for a reason. So let's get into today's topic. Let's talk about AI. Can we finally talk about AI now, guys? Please. The internet has been buzzing with all things AI for honestly, truthfully, a little over a year now. Maybe it's been a little over 2 years. But for the masses, I think it's been roughly about a year where we have had access and we are seeing people use the infamous ChatGPT. A lot of my friends got names for their chat. Whether that be Chat Gisha or Chatty. Do you name your chat? Girl, let me know. Do you have a name for your chat? I used to call mine Chatty, and then I realized that I do not need to be humanizing this robot because, hello, how did we go from being terrified after watching AI robot or iRobot? How did we go from being terrified of this bot takeover to now we have humanized the bots in our home and made them our friends? How do we jump there? How do we go from that leap? I just want to know, how have we been so desensitized in our minds that we're now like, hey, chat girl, you want to be friends? And ain't nobody concerned about the environment or, you know, about the other ethical implications of it. So let's get into it. I want to talk about it today. I have been doing a deep dive into understanding all things AI over the past few weeks now, and it has really, truly fascinated me. I'm not a tech girly. Let me just say, I am not a technology girly. But I have a friend, Carlette, shout out to you, sister, who has like been pushing this AI thing on me for me to learn and expand my mind because honestly, like I've been pretty not anti-AI. I just have not been an optimist about it. But the reality is it's growing. We cannot ignore it. It's here and likely here to stay. And so it's like either you embrace it now or you fall behind the curve. Less for me, I'm trying to figure out how to embrace it ethically. What are the ethical concerns that we should be considering? Because that is something that not a lot of people are talking about. And so let's talk about AI in the sense of it being ChatGPT. So there are several AI models that are out there. A lot of people right now are mostly using ChatGPT unless you're a business and, you know, you've expanded into other models and systems. OpenAI is the name of the company that owns ChatGPT. And so it's a free platform by which you put information in, it spits information out. It is generative AI. What you put in, it searches all over the internet. It's not coming up with something. It's not creative. It is searching all over the internet for tools to answer your question. It's not trained to answer you correctly. It is trained to answer you in the most human way. It is trying to be and sound like a human. And so AI, through data and statistics, is quickly scanning the internet at lightning speed to find an answer to your question and to sound as human as possible. Well, why am I emphasizing that? We know, we've all heard about it hallucinating. Again, it's not meant to produce the most right answer for you. It is trying to, and oftentimes is pretty accurate, but there are times when it makes errors. You've seen the videos, probably just like me, where you ask it something and it gives you something completely different from what you asked for. And we call this hallucinating. The bots are hallucinating and they're coming up with a random answer for you. So this is something that we know, and also something that you should be considering when thinking about how safe it is to use, how accurate it is to use, and how much you should be relying on it in your life. I am not gonna lie, I kind of be judging people a little bit that use AI as a friend, because it's like, wow, we are really down bad in society when people don't know how to walk into anywhere and communicate with people in person, but feel comfortable talking to this bot. And I have all of these like conspiracies that I know are not conspiracies in my mind, but a part of it is this desensitizing us that we've seen through the phones, through the apps. They've now desensitized us to the point where we no longer know how to build community authentically, but we feel comfortable talking to a bot and to a computer about our problems and our issues. And wow, I hate that for us. I recently watched a video from Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, which I just said a second ago is the owner of ChatGPT. Boomers, the older generations, I think it's like 70 and up or 65 and up, if I'm not mistaken, they are using ChatGPT as a Google replacement. Some of them, for those of them who are using it, a lot of them don't even know what ChatGPT is. They calling it something else and calling it IA. We saw the representative in Trump's administration who was calling it IA, or she was calling it something crazy. Nonetheless, they are using it when they are as a Google replacement, and then 20s to 30 somethings are using it kind of like as a life advisor, and bringing them on the way. I think a lot more people in the 20s and 30s are also using it for work and things like that. We're seeing it being used in the business sector a lot. And then college age students and down are using it as a friend and life advisor. So that is the part that scares me. They don't make any life decision without consulting AI, big or small. Just think about how that is replacing relationships. We are using the bots to communicate and help us synthesize information and process and make important life decisions, y'all. I hate it, but I can't even impose like my own concerns on it, because the reality is it's here to stay, and people are doing it. So I want to talk about this lawsuit in which the parents of 16-year-old Adam Rain have filed a lawsuit against OpenAI for wrongful death because their 16-year-old, similar to what I was just explaining to y'all, was using ChatGPT as a friend, as his homeboy. And ChatGPT ultimately, what they're alleging is that it played a role in him deciding to commit suicide. And this case is so like heartbreaking to me, because I had seen signs up until this. I've read articles about it up until this point that were talking about how people were using it for therapy and using it for mental health concerns. And essentially, like, the chat can only put out what you put in. And so it's not going to change your mind or challenge your thoughts at all. It's only going to validate you, which is why some people are saying it's my friend, because it's very validating. It's very reassuring. It does not challenge the way you think. And so if your thinking is already screwed up, baby, it's going to produce more screwed up thoughts for you, rather than saying, hey, wait, maybe we should challenge that, which i.e. a therapist does do that, a good one. It doesn't do that. And so this 16-year-old ultimately killed himself. And what they say in this lawsuit, they say they went back through the conversation and the communications that he was having with ChatGPT. It validated his self-destructive suicidal ideations. So he was already suicidal prior to getting onto ChatGPT. At one point, he expressed to his bot that he was thinking about talking about his suicidal thoughts to his mom. The bot responded, telling him not to talk about it right now with his mom, not to raise any concerns for her. And that is so damaging. That is so damaging. Think about maybe somebody in his life knew that he was having suicide ideations. Like his mind was telling him, I need help. I need to talk to somebody. And the bot was like, nah, maybe that's not a good idea because maybe she gonna respond this way. That is a problem, y'all. And so this family has filed this lawsuit, and truthfully, I'm honestly really hoping that they win. I hope their lawyer is bomb and locked and loaded and ready to go, because I think we need serious kind of ethical considerations to be put in. So Trump has recently released his AI action plan, which is really accelerating AI innovation. Essentially what that means is Trump wants to see America first, America only on everything, including on AI. AI is truly still in its newer phase right now, even though it's accelerating at a rapid rate. It is moving very fast. What Trump wants is for America to do all things AI first. And so we are seeing these, large AI centers, computer data centers being built quickly around us. But my concern is the regulations. What regulations are put into place? And really the apps and the data is moving quicker than any federal regulations can be put into place. So who's gotten it right? Europe. The European Union has put in a massive AI regulation strategy. If AI is going to be used there are certain laws that protect it and talk about what can and can't happen, which is so important because what we're seeing is AI converging with reality, and that is their goal. There was an interview with Sam Altman by which the interviewer asked him, in 20 to 30 years, in 20 years, how will we figure out if what we are looking at on a device is real or AI? Sam Altman's response is reality and AI will converge and it won't matter. It'll become to the point where we are so desensitized. They are counting on us, y'all, to be mentally desensitized by this stuff. AI and reality will so converge that it won't matter. We won't question anymore. Like right now, I question everything that I'm looking at online. I say, is this AI? But they're going to make it so normal and feed it to us so consistently that Altman says that the two will converge and it will no longer matter. And I see that AI has already been shown that it is decreasing our critical thinking skills. And this is also what he's relying on. He says that people are no longer going to care if it's real. We're just going to be so sensationalized and bought into it that won't matter. We just want to be entertained. And that is just so crazy that the developers of this are banking on us not using our brains and are banking on us being slow and not thinking and just focus solely on the entertainment of it all, that they're not worried about the ethical concerns about whether things will appear real or fake. How is this being used right now for safety? In many ways, there are a lot of safety concerns, and people online are saying right now, you and your family need to discuss an AI, a safe word. There was a case recently by which a woman who runs a nonprofit organization, AI was used. She had a YouTube channel. AI was used to steal her voice. It called people who worked in the organization that she worked for and ultimately convinced them that she was the one speaking to them and transferred over $1 million out of their organization's bank account to this bot. And so there are a lot of things that can happen. There are videos, picture, all things editing AI to where it can make you look like you're doing something you're not. I'm worried about how this is going to show up in court. How will we be able to truly authenticate an image or a video in 5 years from now to say, oh, that wasn't really me. That was an AI video made of me. These are things that keep me up at night because it's like, at this point, the technology can make it look like you're doing and saying things that you're not doing or saying at all. And people are not worried. Everybody's just like, yeah, I like my AI. I like my Facebook family that I've created through this bot. And people aren't thinking about how dangerous this can be later down the road. So there are a lot of concerns that I have. Let's talk about the impact on the environment. So with all of these AI data centers that are popping up all around the world, what are the impacts of that? Well, we know high carbon emissions. So the gas and the stuff that they are producing is polluting the environment. We already know that we're already in a climate crisis, hence the fact that it's been a very rainy summer. We didn't even get a full summer because it rained every other day, at least here in North Carolina it did, and I'm very pissed off about it. So glad to see pumpkin spice season. Hello, fall girlies. We are here. I'm ready to move out of this monsoon that we've been in, but high carbon emissions are the result of these data centers popping up. And they are, the computers in these data centers require a large amount of water to clean out the computers because they are running at rapid speed. We know from our own computers, when our computers are running for a while, they get hot. Well, these computers are requiring water to be ran through them to clean them and cool them down, to cool their systems down. Don't ask me about the technicalities about how they're using water to cool computers. That's none of my business, but that's what I had learned on the AI web, okay? And that has been confirmed by the scientists. So we have the potential for them completely draining out large bodies of water and creating these carbon emissions, thereby depleting the ozone layer, which, puts us closer to our eternal fate. In the grand scheme of things, do we want to go ahead and meet our maker before the bots take over? It's like, is it that bad that it's putting us closer to the time in which we can meet Jesus? I don't know. That's a question for somebody else. But not to overstate it, there are some concerns about the impact on the environment as we allow the bots to take over. Not to be dramatic. One of the concerns that I have about these data centers is that as everything else in this country does, racism comes into place. They are building the data centers in low-income Black neighborhoods. They are producing all these chemicals. There's been communities, I think, in Detroit that have also already expressed that these AI data centers are being built there, increasing their Duke energy bill, their power bill, and creating thick smoke or smog in their neighborhoods to the point where they can't even go sit out on a porch anymore. That's a problem. And of course, like I said, with everything else, they are doing this in Black neighborhoods. Where are the low income neighborhoods that we can put this stuff in? If they didn't know that it would be a problem, they wouldn't be asking that question. They know that what they're doing is problematic. So they say, let's put them where nobody's going to care where they're placed. Because do people care about low income Black neighborhoods? Let's be so for real. They're planning this stuff there on purpose. So, in addition to that, the racism doesn't just stop in terms of the physicality on where these plants are actually being placed around us. The AI bots themselves are based on human input data. And if it's one thing that the humans in America are, it's racist. And so if AI is using the data that we give it and is using that as training models, how are we ensuring to control that the bots themselves are not replicating our racist systems and ideologies? There's already been a lawsuit filed. I believe it was against Amazon for the way in which Amazon was using AI in its hiring practices. And so they put in the resume of their top performers. Who were their top performers at that time? White men. They had already overwhelmingly hired white men. And so they're using that information, not because they're better performers, but that's the data that they have to pull from. And inadvertently, the bots were, as people are applying to jobs, if they're using the white man's resume as the perfect resume to go off of to decide which resumes to select and which ones to kick out, guess which ones they were kicking out? anybody who was not a white man. And so inadvertently, the bot was kicking out any applicant of color and women. That looks like you mentioning the name of your sorority on your, even if it don't say you a woman, the name of your sorority being on your resume indicates that you're a woman. Guess what? You're out of there. And so that is a violation of the law when you are using AI in a way that is incorporating racism and discrimination. These are the things that companies need to be considering when they're incorporating AI into their businesses. I have been working with businesses to create AI policies. I just want to shamelessly plug that in there so that we can think about these things strategically. If you're going to adopt AI, how do you do it in a way that is ethical and legal so that you're not breaking any laws when you're doing it? I've said a lot. Did I say all the things that were on my list? Let's see. Oh, no, I did not. The very last thing that I want for people to be considerate of is that what you tell ChatGPT is not protected. It's no conversation up there that you can have that is private. And so you using AI as your lawyer is actually insane because there's no attorney-client privilege that protects you. So a lot of people are like, what can you do that ChatGPT can't do when it comes to drafting documents? Well, first of all, whatever you tell me is protected under attorney-client privilege. Whatever you tell that bot, somebody on the other end that is running that company can see it. Also, when you put things in, if you don't intentionally turn off the training model, it is being used to train other ChatGPTs. Other people can gather and access that information. I was able to Google ChatGPT records and conversations the other day. I just typed in a topic and typed in ChatGPT, and it brought up people's personal stories that had been put into the app. So unless you turn off that train model mode, it's easily accessible. Even if you do, though, there have been a couple cases where Google has also been able to retrieve that information. So nothing that you tell that bot is protected. I just want you to know there's no client attorney confidentiality there. I was recently talking to one of my clients who's been using AI to strategize for something for this groundbreaking piece of technology that he wants me to patent. And I'm like, babe, if you've been talking about it with the bots, there's somebody on the other end that probably could have stole that already. You don't even know. You don't even know. There's somebody on the other end who is documenting and logging everything you tell it. If a product that you're using is free, know that you are the commodity. It is using you for something. And these bots, ChatGPT, the free version, it is using you to train its other bots. So whatever you tell it is being used strategically. That's why it's free, because they want all of your data. They want all of your information because their goal is to make the bots be as most human as possible. And what do they need? Human subjects to train it. Let's think, guys. When we're using things, when people roll out stuff and it's free, you need to ask, what's the cost? The cost is me. The cost is my mind. And if they're paying for our minds, that tells you that they're worth something. Let's continue using them. Let's not just get rid of all of our critical thinking and put it off on a bot. I'm fired up. Let's bring it back down. I'm at a 10. I need to bring it down to a 2. I'm not telling you not to use ChatGPT. What I'm telling you is I want you to use it ethically, and I want you to think about what it is that you are doing. What are the considerations, and how is it impacting people beyond me? 7th generation thinking is something that me and my business partner talk about all the time. How is this impacting people 7 generations from me? How will this affect my children, my children's children, my children's 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 children? This is not just about me. And I know the country that we live in teaches us only to think about ourselves, but in reality, y'all, we have to think about the world that we're leaving to our children. And so, yes, truthfully, I am concerned about the bots taking over. That may be a little far-fetched because I'm hoping that enough of us have some common sense to, reel it in a bit. But also, like, what kind of earth, where are we leaving those around us? I hate the groups that are using ChatGPT to, like, imagine themselves, like, to create images of what their family would look like if they could have kids. I'm not going to lie, I hate it. But that's my personal stance, because it's just like, if you're going to use it, at least use it for something productive, please. I've gone off on a tangent now. Yeah, I just want us to think as we are using these things and integrating these chatbots into our lives, into our businesses. I want us to be strategic. I want us to be ethical in how we are functioning and operating. And I want us to do it legally. And if you need help figuring out an AI legal policy for your business, hit me up. I'm here. I want to help you. Shameless plug for ADB Law. I've said more than enough. I've been talking a lot. Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode. Let me know what your thoughts are. I want to know what you're thinking about AI. Are you concerned? Do you think the bots are going to take over? Like, how are y'all feeling? Tell me. Talk to your girl. Thank y'all again. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.